I still remember the last peaceful moment we had together. Megan was lying on the couch, her head resting on my chest, an old movie playing in the background. I ran my fingers through her hair and thought to myself, this is the woman I am going to marry. But love is strange sometimes. It is like sand in your palm. The tighter you hold on, the faster it slips away. I never imagined that a single question at 3 in the morning would change everything. And that night I learned something about myself I never knew before. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from tonight. Drop a comment below and tell me your city. If you have ever felt like your love was taken for granted, like you were giving everything and receiving nothing in return, hit that like button. And if you are new here, subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is going to stay with you long after it ends. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I met Megan at a small coffee shop in Phoenix, Arizona, about 4 years before everything fell apart. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October, the kind of day where the desert heat finally starts to ease up and you can breathe again. I was sitting in the corner working on some code for a project deadline when this woman walked straight into my table and knocked her iced latte all over my laptop. She was mortified. Her face turned bright red and she started apologizing faster than I could process what had just happened. Coffee was dripping off my keyboard, my screen was flickering, and she looked like she was about to cry. But I just laughed. I do not know why. Maybe it was the way her eyes went wide, or maybe I was just tired of taking everything so seriously. I looked at her and said, well, my code was terrible anyway. You just saved the company from a disaster. She stopped mid-apology, blinked at me, and then burst out laughing. That laugh. That was the moment I knew I was done for. Her name was Megan. She worked in marketing at some agency downtown. We exchanged numbers that day, and within a week we were inseparable. Those first few months felt like something out of a dream. She would text me every morning asking if I slept well. She would show up at my apartment with takeout on nights I had to work late. On weekends she would cook for me these elaborate meals that took hours just because she said she loved seeing me eat. I had never felt so cared for in my entire life, not since my grandfather passed away 3 years earlier. Grandpa Walt was the one who raised me after my parents split. He taught me what it meant to love someone properly. And when he died, I thought I would never feel that kind of warmth again. Then Megan came along. After about a year of dating, we decided to move in together. I found a nice 2-bedroom apartment not far from both our jobs. I remember the day we signed the lease, she squeezed my hand and said, "This is just the beginning, Darren." I believed her. I started saving money for an engagement ring. I had the whole thing planned out. I was going to propose at the Grand Canyon where we took our first trip together. But somewhere along the way, things started to shift. It was subtle at first. About 6 months after we moved in together, I noticed Megan had started placing her phone face down whenever a message came in. Before she would leave it anywhere, screen up, not caring who saw what. Now it was always within arm's reach, always hidden. She even started taking it into the bathroom with her. I told myself it was nothing. Everyone deserves privacy. I was not going to be that guy who gets paranoid over a phone. Then the late nights began. Megan said her company had landed a big client and she needed to put in extra hours. I understood. I worked in tech. I knew what deadlines felt like. But she started coming home later and later. 6 o'clock became 8. 8 became 9. Some nights she would walk through the door at 10, exhausted, barely saying a word before collapsing into bed. One night I noticed something strange. When she hugged me, there was a faint scent of cologne on her blouse. Not perfume. Cologne. A man's cologne. I asked her about it, trying to keep my voice casual. She said one of her coworkers had bumped into her in the elevator and his cologne must have rubbed off. I nodded. I let it go. But something in my chest tightened. The little things kept piling up. She stopped asking about my day. The weekend cooking sessions disappeared. When I tried to initiate affection, she would pull away and say she was tired. It felt like I was living with a stranger wearing my girlfriend's face. I started doing more around the apartment, thinking maybe she was just stressed. I cooked dinner, cleaned the kitchen, did the laundry. I bought her flowers one evening, a big bouquet of sunflowers because they were her favorite. She looked at them, smiled faintly, and said, "That is sweet." But her eyes did not smile. They looked right through me. I remembered something Grandpa Walt told me once sitting on his porch in the evening light. He said, "A relationship is like a garden, son. Both people have to water it or it dies." I was watering our garden every single day, but I was doing it alone. And the flowers were wilting no matter how hard I tried. One Friday night, Megan said she was going to a coworker's birthday party. She came out of the bedroom wearing a dress I had never seen before, makeup done more carefully than usual, heels that made her 3 inches taller. She looked stunning, and for some reason that made my stomach turn. I asked which coworker was having a birthday. She hesitated for just a second, barely noticeable, before saying, "You do not know her. She is new. She said she would be home by 11. 11 came and went. I texted her. No response. Midnight. I called. No answer. 1 in the morning. I called again. Nothing. My mind started racing. What if something happened? What if she got into an accident? What if someone hurt her? At 1:30, my phone buzzed. A text from Megan. "Stop calling. I am fine. Having fun." She stumbled through the door around 2:45, her hair slightly disheveled, her eyes glassy from alcohol. I was sitting on the couch waiting. I was worried, I said. "You said 11. She rolled her eyes. "God, Darren. It was just a party. Why do you always have to make everything a big deal?" She walked past me without another word and disappeared into the bathroom. I sat there in the dark, trying to understand what I had done wrong. Was I overreacting? Was I being too sensitive? I convinced myself it was nothing. I told myself every couple goes through rough patches. I went to bed that night, facing away from her for the first time in 2 years. That night I thought it was just a bump in the road, but looking back now, that was the first crack in the wall. And cracks always spread. The months that followed became a pattern I could not escape. Megan would go out 2 or 3 times a week, always with vague explanations. Drinks with coworkers, a client dinner, a last-minute work event. Every time I asked for details, she would snap at me. "You are so paranoid," she would say. Or, "Not everything is about you, Darren." And my personal favorite, "I need space. You are suffocating me." I started to feel like a prisoner in my own relationship. I was afraid to ask questions because questions led to arguments. I was afraid to express concern because concern was labeled as control. I walked on eggshells every single day, terrified of saying the wrong thing. One evening I saw a text notification pop up on her phone while she was in the shower. The phone was on the kitchen counter screen facing up for once. The message was from someone saved as T, and it said, "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow," followed by a winking emoji. When she came out of the bathroom, I asked casually, "Hey, who is T? I saw a message pop up." She froze, just for a moment. Then she grabbed her phone and said, "That is Tina from accounting. We are grabbing lunch tomorrow." Her voice wavered slightly when she said it. I noticed. I filed it away. I said nothing. A few days later, I did something I am not proud of. I called her company, pretending to be a potential client, asking about their services. I asked if Megan was available, and the receptionist said, "Oh, Megan left at 5 today. She has been leaving early a lot lately." My heart sank. Megan had told me that morning she would be working until 9 because of an important presentation. She did not come home until 9:30. I wanted to confront her. I wanted to demand the truth. But every time I tried to bring something up, she twisted it around and made me feel like the crazy one. She had this way of making me doubt my own eyes, my own ears, my own instincts. I started wondering if maybe I really was the problem. Maybe I was too insecure. Maybe I was too needy. I could not sleep. My work started to suffer. My boss pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay at home. I lied and said yes, but nothing was okay. I was drowning in my own relationship, and the person who was supposed to save me was the one holding my head underwater. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Saturday in November. Megan said she was going out for a girls' night with some friends from work. She kissed me on the cheek, told me not to wait up, and left around 8. I tried to watch a movie, but I could not focus. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a text that never came. By 11, I sent her a message asking if she was having fun. No response. By midnight, I tried calling. It went straight to voicemail. By 1 in the morning, I was pacing the apartment, imagining worst-case scenarios. At 2:30, I called again. Voicemail. I left a message this time, trying to keep my voice calm. Hey, just checking in. Getting a little worried. Call me when you can. By 3 in the morning, I was sitting in the dark living room staring at my phone. I called one more time. She picked up on the 4th ring. What? Her voice was sharp, annoyed. I could hear noise in the background. Music, laughter, people talking. Megan, where are you? I asked. It is past 3. I have been worried sick. There was a pause, a long pause. Then she exploded. Oh my God, Darren, you are so clingy. I cannot even go out without you tracking me like I am some kind of criminal. This is exactly why I need space from you. You are suffocating me. I stood there in the darkness, phone pressed to my ear, unable to move. My heart was not racing. It felt like it had stopped altogether. Then I heard something that shattered whatever hope I had left. A man's voice in the background laughing, and Megan's voice slightly muffled, saying to whoever was there, "It is just my boyfriend. He is so annoying. Just my boyfriend. So annoying." I took a deep breath, the deepest breath I had ever taken in my life, and when I spoke, my voice was calmer than I expected. Okay, that was all I said. One word. Then I hung up. I stood in the living room for what felt like hours, but was probably only 5 minutes. Everything became crystal clear in that moment. The late nights, the cologne,